Imagine waking up and eating enough cyanide to kill a horse just for breakfast.
Yeah, not exactly a balanced diet.
Right. Or, I mean, imagine having a personal living umbrella that actually changes the color of your skin when you're in the sun.
Which sounds completely made up.
It does. Today, though, we aren't looking at science fiction. We're looking at the bizarre, highly calibrated reality of our own planet.
It really is a reality that, defies imagination. We tend to see nature as this, I don't know, this boundless, resilient green blur. But when you zoom in, it's a fiercely specific, microscopic balancing act. Like every creature is engineered for a very particular job.
Which brings us directly to the incredible stack of materials you've shared with us for this deep dive. You've given us just an astonishing collection to work through today.
There's a lot of ground to cover.
Oh, absolutely. We've got curated global registries, incredibly detailed field scripts, and some truly breathtaking, hard-won wildlife photography by masters of the craft, people like Jonathan Drury and Daryl and Sharna Balfour.
Their work is just stunning.
It really is. And you also included this stark, arresting visual. It's a collage that acts as a blunt reminder of species teetering on the brink. Just looking at these faces, I mean...
Yeah, it's hard.
It literally stops you in your tracks. You see the orangutans, the California condor, the black rhino, giant hammerheads, and then, the axolotl, bog turtles, rusty-patched bumblebees, and the North Atlantic right whale.
It's a heavy visual, for sure, but it sets the stakes perfectly. Our mission today is to navigate through what this data calls the Sweet 16 Endangered Species Global Registry.
Right.
And I want to be very clear with you. We are not just reading a sad list of vanishing animals here. We are decoding a map of Earth's most intricate biological machinery.
Decoding the machine. I like that.
Exactly. We want to understand why these specific creatures matter, how they physically shape the world around them, and crucially, what it actually takes to pull them back from the absolute edge.
Okay, let's unpack this, because when most of us think of endangered wildlife, our minds immediately go to the massive charismatic predators.
The lions, the tigers, the bears.
Exactly. But what absolutely blew my mind digging into this data is that the true foundation of the wild actually relies on these highly specialized, almost invisible gardeners and architects.
That is the perfect way to describe them. Gardeners and architects. Take the green sea turtle, for example, off the coast of Ningaloo, Australia.
Right.
They are literally the ocean's gardeners. Out of all the sea turtles, they are the only large species that are strictly oviparous as adults. Their entire ecological job is to graze on seagrass beds.
Just constantly mowing the lawn.
Basically, yeah. And that grazing is vital. By constantly trimming that grass, they prevent it from growing too long, shading itself out, and just rotting. They stimulate fresh, nutrient-rich new shoots.
Which creates a healthy nursery for, countless other ocean species, right?
Exactly.
And there's this fantastic biological quirk I read in the notes. Because their diet is so strictly vegetarian, the pigments from the seagrass actually turn their internal fat and cartilage bright green.
Yeah, it's wild. That's literally how they got their name.
It's so cool. But speaking of wild diets, we have to talk about the greater bamboo lemur in the rainforests of Madagascar.
Oh, the cyanide eaters.
Yes. This tiny primate eats giant bamboo. But not just any bamboo, bamboo laced with massive amounts of cyanide. Wait, hold on. Cyanide? How are they not dropping dead on the spot?
It's honestly one of the greatest metabolic mysteries in biology. The concentration of cyanide they consume on a daily basis would instantly kill almost any other mammal on Earth.
So how do they do it?
Well, what scientists are finding is that they likely have highly specialized gut flora, so specific bacteria in their digestive tract or maybe unique metabolic pathways in their liver that bind to the cyanide compounds.
And just neutralize them.
Exactly. They neutralize them before they can enter the bloodstream and suffocate the cells. It's an internal superpower. But unfortunately, right now, there are fewer than 500 to 1,000 of them left in the wild.
Wow. Barely any left. So the lemur's superpower is totally internal, this insane chemical neutralization. But other microspecialists literally reshape their physical environment to survive.
All right, the architects.
Yeah. Let's look at the Honduran white bat in Central America. These are tiny, marshmallow-soft bats with bright orange ears. But their job is architecture. They are tent makers.
It's so fascinating to watch.
They physically bite along the midrib of a giant heliconia leaf until the sides collapse downward, creating a private, waterproof umbrella for the colony.
And nature's design here is just brilliant because, you might wonder why a bat in a lush green jungle would evolve to be bright white.
It seems like a terrible idea for hiding, like wearing a white suit in the woods.
Right. But here's how it works. When the harsh tropical sunlight hits that green heliconia leaf they've folded over themselves, the light filters through the plant tissue and casts a green reflection directly onto their white fur.
Oh, wow.
So from below looking up, a predator just sees a lumpy green shadow that perfectly matches the leaf. It's active, situational camouflage.
That is just genius. It makes me think of a massive Swiss Army knife. You've got this giant heavy tool, but it's packed with dozens of hyper-specific gadgets.
That's a great analogy.
Like you have a tool just for punching leather, a tiny wrench just for filing metal. These animals are those highly specific tools.
What's fascinating here is the double-edged sword of being what biologists call a specialist, or a micro-endemic species. Over millions of years, their extreme evolutionary specialization has made them flawlessly efficient at surviving in one specific niche.
Right.
Take the Celebes-crested macaque in Sulawesi, Indonesia. They're the charismatic punk rock ambassador of the forest. They've got this jet black coat, startling amber eyes, and a crest of hair that rises and falls like a living mood ring.
And they are crucial seed-dispersing frugivores, right? They plant the forests of tomorrow just by eating fruit today.
Exactly.
And the golden-crowned sifaka in Madagascar does something similar. The notes say they were only discovered in 1974, which is crazy to me. There are these incredible vertical clingers and leapers.
Oh, they're amazing acrobats.
Jumping up to 30 feet through thorny canopies where predators simply can't follow them.
But see, that same specialization makes them all incredibly vulnerable. Their survival mechanisms are so locked in that they have no backup plan.
Right, they can't just pivot.
No, not at all. The Honduran white bat can't just pack up and move to a pine tree if the heliconia plant vanishes. The golden-crowned sifaka is trapped in shrinking forest islands caused by slash-and-burn agriculture. They can't just cross an open grassland.
When their specific puzzle piece of the environment disappears, the whole machine breaks.
Precisely.
Which brings us to a conceptual pivot in the data that is genuinely tough to stomach. We move from animals threatened because they are losing their environmental jobs to animals that are actively hunted because of those specialized adaptations.
It's incredibly dark.
It is. The very evolutionary traits that kept them alive for millions of years are now the exact reasons they are being wiped out.
This is the tragedy of the wildlife trade. The physical uniqueness becomes a target. We see this vividly with the pangolin species. You have the black-bellied pangolin in the African canopy. It's this amazing arboreal acrobat with a prehensile tail longer than its body that it uses like a fifth limb to hang from branches.
Oh, wow.
And then you have the giant pangolin, which is a 75-pound ground-dwelling tank that actually walks upright on its hind legs to protect its massive digging claws from getting worn down.
Walking through the moonlight on its hind legs, it sounds almost prehistoric.
It really does.
But both of these animals are covered in overlapping scales of keratin. That's the exact same material as our own human fingernails. And because of those scales, they hold the devastating title of the most trafficked mammals on Earth.
And the cruelty of exploiting these adaptations extends to primates, too. Look at the Javan Slow Loris.
Oh, this one was hard to read about.
It really is. It's a nocturnal primate in Indonesia with these enormous liquid eyes meant for gathering scarce ambient light in the dark jungle. But those eyes make them look quote-unquote cute to humans, making them a prime target for the illegal pet trade.
And they have a defense mechanism, don't they?
They do. They have a unique defense mechanism. A venomous bite. They lick a specialized gland on their arm, mix the sweat with their saliva, and it creates a flesh-rotting venom.
Which is an incredible adaptation.
It is. But because of this, poachers will barbarically rip out their sharp teeth with pliers without any anesthesia just to make them safe for buyers. Most die from infection or starvation shortly after.
It's sickening, truly. Yeah. And then you have the forest musk deer in the limestone forests of Vietnam. They look like a myth.
The vampire deer.
Yeah. They lack antlers entirely. Instead, the males grow these long, saber-like tusks. They're secretive and agile, but they are relentlessly poached for their scent pods.
It's a huge black market.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, I have to ask. If we have synthetic alternatives today for things like perfumes and traditional medicines, which we absolutely do, why is the demand for the physical wild animal part so unyielding? Is it just stubborn tradition?
It's a mix of tradition, but more insidiously, it's about economics and status. Human black markets operate on the principle of Veblen goods.
Veblen goods. What's that?
It's an economic term for items where the exorbitant price is actually the point of buying them. It perversely places the highest monetary value on rarity. So the venom meant to protect the loris, the scales meant to shield the pangolin from lion claws, and the scent meant to ensure the reproductive survival of the musk deer human desire has twisted these biological marvels into status symbols,
Just to show off wealth.
basically. And the darker reality is that the rarer the animal becomes, the harder it is to get, which drives the price tag even higher. That astronomical price incentivizes even more aggressive poaching.
It's a vicious, self-fulfilling cycle. But while those specific animals are being targeted as individuals for their parts, the registry also details the animals suffering from the wholesale theft of their actual kingdoms.
The massive ecosystem requirements, yeah.
Right, I'm looking at the heavyweights, the species that require massive, unbroken ecosystems just to exist.
The kings of the extremes. Let's look at the Russian Far East. You have the Siberian tiger, known by indigenous people as Amba. This cat is a powerhouse built for the freezing taiga.
A massive animal.
Huge. Now, why does a single male tiger need a territory of up to 1,000 square kilometers? It's because the prey density in an environment that hits negative 40 degrees Celsius is incredibly low.
Right, there's just not much food out there.
Exactly. They have to patrol massive distances just to find enough food to fuel that huge heat-generating body.
And sharing that same harsh region is the Amur leopard. Only about 100 to 120 of those adults are left in the wild.
Such a critically low number.
Yeah. They've evolved these longer legs specifically to bound through deep snow. But both the tiger and the leopard are seeing their massive territories chopped up and fragmented by logging camps and new roads.
Then you move south to the Bengal tiger, which is incredibly adaptable. I mean, they live everywhere, from the freezing Himalayan foothills to the sweltering mangrove swamps of the Sundarbans.
But they face what the data calls a triple threat, right?
Yes. Poaching, human-wildlife conflict because their travel corridors are being replaced by farms, and the silent, creeping threat of climate change. Rising sea levels are literally drowning the Sundarbans out from under them.
And extreme environments aren't just on land, either. The oceanic gliders face this, too. The Chilean devil ray has a 4-meter wingspan and does these jaw-dropping 2,000-meter deep dives into the mesopelagic zone.
The deep, dark ocean.
Yeah, down there, the water is near freezing and the pressure is crushing. How does a cold-blooded animal keep its brain functioning in near-freezing water?
To survive that, they possess what biologists call a ritmir, or a miraculous net of blood vessels. It works essentially like a thermal radiator using countercurrent heat exchange.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, warm blood pumping out from their hard-working swimming muscles runs right alongside the freezing cold blood coming in from their gills. The heat transfers over, pre-warming the blood before it reaches the brain and eyes.
That's incredible.
It's a masterpiece of oceanic engineering. But biologically, they reproduce incredibly slowly. So when industrial fishing fleets target them for their gill plates, their populations are just mathematically decimated. They simply cannot breed fast enough to replace what is taken.
Even the tiny animals suffer from this loss of unbroken space. You mentioned the Bellolanda chameleon earlier. It's this tiny emerald microendemic reptile in Madagascar.
Right. Highly specialized.
Because it is cold-blooded, it depends entirely on the ambient environment to regulate its body heat. It relies so heavily on exact, dense canopy cover that if loggers just thin out the trees slightly, the resulting spike in sunlight and temperature collapses the entire population.
It's that delicate.
To me, habitat fragmentation is like taking an Olympic marathon runner and permanently locking them inside a studio apartment. You can have all the muscle, all the evolutionary adaptation in the world, like a 400-pound Bengal tiger, but if someone keeps building concrete walls across your racetrack, you just can't survive.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, habitat fragmentation is insidious because it causes genetic bottlenecks.
Right.
It's not just about an animal losing a few trees. It's about severing the lifelines of solitary wanderers. When you build a highway through a forest, you trap these animals in small pockets where they can no longer find diverse mates.
They're stuck with whoever's on their side of the road.
Exactly. Over generations, their gene pool shrinks, inbreeding occurs, their immune systems weaken, and the population quietly suffocates from the inside out. And, climate change acts as the ultimate invisible fragmenter. Let's go back to the green sea turtle for a moment.
Okay.
It's not just that rising oceans are swallowing their nesting beaches. Sea turtles have temperature-dependent sex determination.
Right. The temperature of the sand literally decides if the egg hatches as a male or a female.
Exactly. The heat actually triggers specific hormones inside the developing embryo, turning the gonads female. Warmer sands produce more females.
So a hotter beach means
Hotter beach means almost all females. Because of global warming, we are seeing beaches where over 90% of hatchlings are female. We are facing a near future where they simply lose the biological ability to reproduce because there won't be enough males to sustain the population.
so with the physical space vanishing, the climate actively shifting their biology, and populations crashing into the double digits, passive conservation just doesn't cut it anymore, does it? We can't just put a fence around a forest, dust off our hands, and say, okay, we protected the land, leave them alone, they'll be fine.
No, the data shows we are long past that luxury. We have officially entered the era of the Wildlife Intensive Care Unit. Hands-off conservation has had to become hyper-managed, highly invasive, hands-on intervention.
The extreme ICU. The wildest example of this in the registry is the kakapo, the mighty moss chicken of New Zealand.
I love that name.
It's great. This is a flightless, nocturnal parrot that literally smells like honey and old violin cases. Now, I have to ask, why is a bird this helpless?
It's an evolutionary trap. They evolved on an island completely devoid of ground predators. Without the need to escape, flying became an unnecessary waste of energy, so they just lost the ability.
That makes sense until things change.
Right. When humans arrived and introduced stoats, rats, and cats, these ground-dwelling birds were utterly defenseless and almost entirely wiped out.
And their breeding cycle doesn't help at all. They are mast breeders, meaning they only reproduce when the native reamer tree produces a massive crop of fruit, which only happens every 2 to 5 years.
It's agonizingly slow.
Which completely explains the intense human intervention going on right now. The registry states there are exactly 247 of them left. Not an estimate. Exactly 247. Every single bird has a name. Every bird is tracked via a GPS transmitter strapped to its back. Scientists are even using 3D printed smart eggs.
Yes, the smart eggs are incredible.
How do those even work?
So conservationists carefully remove the real fragile eggs to incubate them safely in a lab and replace them in the nest with 3D printed replicas. These replicas actually emit subtle rumbling and clicking sounds, simulating a hatching chick. This auditory feedback stimulates the mother hormonally and behaviorally.
Oh, wow. So it tricks her body into getting ready.
Exactly. So by the time the scientists swap the real newly hatched chick back into the nest, the mother is primed and ready to care for it. It's an astonishing level of dedication.
And we see that same intimate, hands-on care with the Sumatran rhino. There is this moving account of a baby calf born at the Waipamba Sanctuary.
Yeah, that photo was beautiful.
With fewer than 80 Sumatran rhinos left on the entire planet, their survival isn't happening in the wild anymore. It relies on literal human touch, advanced veterinary medicine, and small guided steps inside heavily guarded sanctuary walls.
But there is a massive ray of hope in this intensive care approach. Look at the mountain gorilla in the Rwanda Mountains.
That's a huge success story, right?
It really is. They are incredibly susceptible to human diseases because their biology is so similar to ours. A simple human cold virus caught from a tourist can spread through a troop and wipe them out.
Just a common cold.
Yeah, but thanks to total unyielding protection and the incredible work of groups like the gorilla doctors, who actually hike into the dense forest to provide emergency veterinary care, darting and treating sick gorillas in the wild, their population has rebounded. They went from 600 individuals to over 1,000 today.
So what does this all mean? It means humanity is no longer just playing park ranger. We are acting as surrogate parents, as hospital staff, as architects for entire species.
It's absolute proof that when we decide to care and when we financially and politically support the boots-on-the-ground specialists, we can pull the kings of the mountain back from the absolute brink. It is not a lost cause.
And that brings all this massive global data right to your front door. You are listening to this wondering, why should I care? And more importantly, what can I actually do? The documentation provides a really clear call to action.
It does.
You can be a conscious consumer. When you're buying groceries, look for RSPO-certified sustainable palm oil. Demanding that standard directly protects the rainforests of the leaping sifaka and the punk rock macaque. You can reduce your single-use plastics to keep the oceanic nurseries safe for the grazing green sea turtle. And you can support the specialists doing the grueling, everyday work the Kakapo Recovery Program, the Gorilla Doctors, the Pangolin Crisis Fund.
It's about recognizing the invisible threads. The choices you make in a grocery store aisle directly impact a canopy in Madagascar.
Exactly. The notes include this powerful quote from Sir David Attenborough, and I think it perfectly captures the stakes of everything we've talked about today. He said, "It's surely our responsibility to do everything within our power to create a planet that is fit to live in and that is capable of sustaining all of us, not just humans, but the entire community of life on Earth."
This raises an important question, something deeply philosophical highlighted in the conclusion of these texts. These animals are the masterworks of millions of years of trial and error. Every time we lose one, a part of our own story goes silent. Yeah.
Think about the mountain gorilla. They share 98% of our DNA. Looking into their eyes is looking into an evolutionary mirror. What happens to human identity if we let that mirror shatter? What happens to our own psyche if we become the only authors left in a biologically empty world?
And it makes you wonder, if we are successfully relying on 3D printed eggs, GPS trackers, and intensive care sanctuaries today, are we heading toward a future where there is no true wild left at all? Where nature only exists because we are permanently managing it on life support?
It's definitely a sobering thought.
It's something heavy to think about.
Yeah.
Conservation isn't just about saving what is left. It's about protecting what's possible. Because in saving them, we are saving the very world that makes us who we are.
We need every single piece of the machine.
Thank you so much for sharing these incredible sources with us and for joining us on this deep dive. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.